What's up, guys? It's Scarlett, and I'm here with Nam. He's a fellow yogi, and we're going to talk about semen retention and the benefits and different commonly asked questions.
Yeah. This is the first time I'm doing this, so it's kind of fun to imagine that there's other people on the other side or something like that, but also just be kind of centered here in the middle. And yeah, so let's have fun with it.
Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Okay.
All right, so why did you decide to start practicing semen retention?
Let's see. I think that I decided at some point along my spiritual path because tons of my relationships that I had there was always a lot of insecurity that I would display. I mean, it goes beyond relationship, and I'm not talking just romantic relationship, I'm talking relationships in general. There was a lot of insecurity, a lot of attachment, and I was kind of guided into this, like these techniques, these methods, and it just went from there.
Yeah. Okay. So you wanted more like self-confidence in yourself.
I think that's something that kind of definitely, that was like the foundation. Like I wanted more confidence. And then along the spiritual path, like I feel that it's essential to learn how to practice self-control, and there's tons of methods that you can use to do that. So semen retention is just one of them, and it's super popular right now, semen retention. So, but it's popular now, and it has like this new fad about it, but it goes back way into the ancient yogic practices of self-control and what we call as brahmacharya, or other places know it as celibacy as well. But you know, when it comes to like celibacy and semen retention, there's kind of missing components or missing keys that we need. Kind of like in, for example, like in brahmacharya, it talks about more about self-control, and it kind of extends out into more areas than just semen retention. So. And there's different methods, there's different techniques that you can use to kind of bring that energy up, because it's not just about holding the energy. That's something like I had to experience on my own. It's more about learning how to use the energy in different ways, because we're so conditioned as men, or even as females as well. We're so conditioned to only use sexual energy in one way, you know, in the physical aspect. But this energy is just like that creative force that's within every living being and every cell of everything. So everything is constantly in that embrace and union. So.
All right, sweet. So, what would you say you were like before you practiced and after? Like key personality traits, key habits, key just changes and shifts.
Okay, so that was a really specific question too. I like that, because you said personality and habits.
Yeah.
Personality wise, I had tons of anger. I had tons of anger that I didn't know how to control, and I think it stemmed from an incompleteness, like not an incompetence or an incompleteness. Like I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel satisfied, or I didn't feel like a whole. So there was a lot of insecurity, a lot of anger, a lot of controllingness. I mean, because at that point it was just about chasing pleasure, and it was about chasing everything outside of me, you know. And so beginning on the seminal retention was more of a step going inward.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so it's definitely about going inward. So.
And how was it, if you don't mind me asking, with like pornography? Was it ever difficult for you to let it go, or was it easy, and like what helped you overcome it?
Let's see. So when I was younger, I did have kind of like an addiction to masturbation, pornography. Um, and I would use the word addiction only because I was constantly seeking pleasure. Um, can you repeat the question again?
While the airplane goes by. Yeah. So a lot of the viewers watching, a lot of men reach out to me, tell me, they have problems with porn. Porn's very alluring. It's very, it has that dopamine rush. Like, did you ever struggle with that? And if so, like, what helped you overcome it?
So pornography, the way that it's being displayed right now is in a very negative and demeaning manner, but there is on the rise like a lot of like more conscious pornography and more conscious efforts of like expressing that as art. So maybe it's like a mental thing, like it's just shift perspectives for a second, and instead of seeing a pornography as something that you have to do behind closed doors, or masturbation, I mean, something you have to do behind closed doors, or something that's private and secretive, and has this it ends up developing this weird expression, in your energy. So instead of doing that, then start to see sex as more as love, and just it's simple things, little shifts of how you perceive things can actually help you let go of things in the long run. So maybe not take it off right away, because I know a lot of people can't, they don't have the self-control and the will and the mind power to just cut things off like that. But you can start to develop an awareness of something beyond just the conditioned habits.
So what helped you personally? Like, was there any so I guess that mindset adjustment, or like was there any particular thing that helped you to master that faculty?
Let's see. I think it all comes from because watching pornography is an outside pleasure. It's an outside stimulation. Something simple that anyone can do is, instead of looking for it outside, how about practice developing your own imagination and just imagine and develop that creativity, and then it kind of becomes fun and less about addiction, but you're also using that energy and you're turning it into creativity, and you're using it in different ways.
So you mean like using the imagination instead of like imagining other things you want to create?
No, I mean specifically for the person that's trying to overcome pornography. Instead of watching pornography on your phone, how about then just just sit down and just imagine you making love with yourself or something, or making love with your loved one, or I don't know, something that that helps you kind of just shift. Again, we're talking about like just subtle shifts of mindset, because those are often the most powerful.
Cool. Okay. And how do you view women differently from before semen retention and after semen retention?
I love that you asked that question, because I'm at a place right now. I've been practicing seminal retention, or more so brahmacharya. I've been practicing this for quite some time now, and I'm at a point where I don't even think about sex. Sex is the last thing that on my mind. So whether you're into males or females, I think that the path, there's a certain process, like on seminal retention, and it just sometimes it leads you to this to a higher awareness. And so my perspective on females right now is more about protecting them and embracing them in different ways and uplifting them, because when your mindset, when your mind, or when you're aware of just the physical sexual aspects of life, then it puts you in a place where you only see that and you're not aware of anything else. So then when you see a woman walking by, you only perceive the physical aspects or the physical nature of that woman, but there's more to her, you know. There's her mind, there's her emotions, there's her personality. There's so much more to women and to life and to even men, if you're into men. So yeah.
All right. Speaking of physical, I noticed there's a lot of physical benefits that come to men from practicing semen retention. I'm always noticing your skin is very glowy.
Oh.
Is that because of the semen retention, and what kind of physical shifts have you noticed?
Okay, beautiful question, and I hope I've been answering your questions spot on, because there's just so much on this topic. Honestly, you can honestly make like its own channel and help out anyone trying to transmute their sexual energy. Even females, you know, females can benefit from self-control and transmuting sexual energy. So physical aspects, your skin does begin to kind of glow and radiate, and I think more so because that semen, right? It's so potent. Sperm cells and even semen itself, it has a very potent nature, and it's very hydrating. You know, it's very it's a liquid, it's a fluid of the body. And so when you hold that in for some time, naturally your body will just look more hydrated. You'll begin to get this glow. Your auric field will just naturally also radiate because of that hydration, that fluidity. You know, it goes beyond the physical body. There's a fluidity that happens even on a mental aspect, on an emotional aspect. You know, once you get past the difficult stages of seminal retention, because there are some difficult stages. So other physical attributes and aspects, you begin to kind of become balanced. All of your hormones become balanced. So you're not you get to a point, because I know at first on seminal retention, a lot of males become overly masculine. And it's a natural response to now holding
like
in
a little bit of ego masculine, or
I think both. Yeah, I think both, honestly, because, or at least from my experience, I'll continue to talk about my experience. You know, there was that ego involved, because there was that hormonal shift. I wasn't empty on my own fuel. I wasn't empty on testosterone. My hormones weren't constantly fluctuating from ejaculation. So there is those benefits where your hormones just come into balance, and there is a science behind it too. I know there's a lot of people out there talking about the science behind it, like within a certain amount of days, certain physical and mental attributes are found.
All right, so you mentioned difficulties. What were the difficulties people can expect?
Whoa. It's a journey. It's a journey within, honestly. You know, because so at first, though, you know, the male, without the proper knowledge and awareness, the male or even female that's practicing seminal retention might find themselves to become overly sexual, because that's the energy that energy is accumulating in the body. And so that's kind of like phase one, I guess you can call it. I'm not really trying to be accurate about the science or the step-by-step processes, but at first you start accumulating tons of sexual energy. And so now at this point it's like, okay, you could either there's two choices that everyone has. You could either now overly sexualize everything around you and have only one thing on your mind, like sex, and then seek all those outside pleasures, and that is a part of it actually. You at first you begin to seek outside pleasures because you're trying to find ways to express this sexual energy. But then there's another part when you do have a little bit more knowledge and experience and a little bit more awareness, and that is when you begin to look within and you begin to use that energy in different ways for your spiritual growth, as a matter of fact. So yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, the difficulties can differ from person to person. I think it's more about their awareness, their intention, and the knowledge that, like, where did they find the knowledge? Where are they sourcing this knowledge from? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that are like sourcing this knowledge, or like they're putting this knowledge out there, and it's just mainly about all the women start to come to you, and it's like
it's like the ego motives, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got the people
there's
out
so
there.
Much more richness to it, like from what you get out of it. Yeah, I try to tell people that.
She's so right. There's so much more richness to it, and there's people out there that are promoting it from the ego, and there's other people that are promoting it from a more of a God perspective, or a place of the soul.
Right. And all right. So you mentioned brahmacharya. So a lot of people understand brahmacharya as celibacy, as no sexual activity at all. However, it seems that a lot of men are misinformed about the idea of having an orgasm separate from ejaculation. And some men seem to think that if you have an orgasm at all, you lose energy, or that you shouldn't have any sexual activity. And my sort of stance is always walking the middle path. So not too much retention, because even though, yes, it's possible to push your body and reabsorb and whatnot, it's still a natural function to have sexual activity. So the goal, I try to tell people, is more about mastery and just having control and being, reining your sexuality under your will, so that you create what you want to. You have sexual activity when you want to, and you just naturally magnetize or don't, partners with that kind of energy. So how has your experience been with the idea of sexual activity? Do you lose energy if you don't ejaculate? And why? Yeah, why isn't it that it's more promoted that you can still be sexually active without losing that vitality?
Okay, so I'm gonna try to touch on a little bit of everything that you said right now. So brahmacharya actually is a method of self-control. So you can actually be brahmacharya, or practice brahmacharya, even if you're married and you have kids, and it goes back to what you said. I love that you said that about the middle path. It's not about completely suppressing your sexual energy, or on the other hand being overly sexualizing life and other people, right? So it's really about that beautiful middle path where it leads you straight into mastery. So right now, yes, I do practice brahmacharya, but I practice it from a perspective of self-control. So I'm not celibate. I'm not suppressing my sexual energy. as a matter of fact, if an opportunity comes and there's that beautiful alignment between me and another woman, then at that point it would be a conscious decision. You see, there's the difference between making it a conscious decision or is it compulsion. Compulsion will drive you into making tons of crazy decisions, and it's only from a place of ego.
Right, and lack, right? Like you just need to
yeah.
get sexual energy from another person.
Yeah. So, did I touch on everything that you just said, or
yeah.
is there a few other
and,
things?
Also, just about the idea of separating the orgasm from the ejaculation.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that there's people get a little bit paranoid and they think like, there's a loss of energy, don't orgasm at all, or however, my understanding is that you can actually be charged up with more energy from the right sexual partners, and you can still be sexually active without releasing. But it takes obviously a lot of practice, right, to do that, to be able to orgasm without ejaculation.
So much.
It seems like most men kind of go halfway, where they're familiar with nofap, or the people who are practicing, they just do nofap, and they just kind of like, I'm 100-day streak, I'm 200 days. However, they don't kind of integrate the knowledge and learn how to still be sexually active without losing that vitality. So, do you have any kind of personal experience with separating the two, and like, do you lose energy or do you not lose energy? Because there's a little bit of a debate about that.
She knows so much. So yes, I think we can easily break that illusion that you can still have sex while practicing seminal retention. You can still masturbate as well. But here's the dilemma that I ran into when I first started, right? It was about kind of like I would have sex. I was sexually active at the time because I had a partner, so there was no need for masturbation at that time. But it was almost like I was hoarding the energy here. There was an over sexualization. I wasn't doing anything with that energy, so it became it brought a lot of density, a lot of weight to my own life energies, my own mental energies, emotional energies. It just brings a lot of like denser vibrations. So there's tons of methods out there on how to actually recirculate that energy, because there's here, before I get to that, there's two aspects, or maybe more, but there's two aspects that I know of when it comes to semen, right? There's the sexual energy, which is more of a non-physical aspect, but then there's also the semen itself, which is a little bit more physical. So learning, there's methods out there that actually will teach you how to reabsorb the semen and the sperm, but then not even that. There's also ways to recirculate the energy. So because remember, sexual energy is that life force energy itself. Everything is constantly embracing another thing, and kind of it comes back to that place of God. God is only trying to experience itself through everything, and that is where the union comes from. That is even where the desire for sex comes from too. It comes exactly, yeah.
Desire for union with another is really just the desire to connect with God and the divine.
So true. And because it's an inward path, you come to a place where you become complete. And so you don't need sex, you don't want sex. So there's no lust and there's no ego behind it. But am I choosing to have this experience with other people? That's something that just comes through practice and awareness, because it does take a long time, or it does have you run into a lot of things from seminal retention.
Sweet. Well, I think we pretty much covered
I think
all
so
the
too.
basics. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any other questions or you want to comment, leave your thoughts down below. Thanks for tuning in.